I'm pretty sure we are live now. Let me double check this so I don't mess up like last time. And okay, finally. So hello everyone, welcome to this live stream. In this live stream, we're going to be creating a simple chat system using fish networking. So the system is going to be basically allowing players to send messages alongside their names across the network. It's going to utilize RPCs, so it's as simple as possible, and it's going to use the built-in Unity UI. Okay, so first of all, let's get started by creating our UI canvas. Canvas, and rename this. So I'm going to go over the UI stuff very quickly. So I'm not going to explain what I'm doing, except for like specific UI layout things. Other than that, you can do layouts whatever you like or however you like. So there is no definite way to do it, okay? So let's continue now. Change my scaling to, and now let's create our list of messages. So scroll view, let's say chat, set it to be in the center, make it 500 pixels wide, or 750. Now it's going to be 10 here and 10 there. Good. Now we're going to remove our horizontal scroll bar. And let's fix the crappy setup that Unity gives us by default. With this. Yep. Oh, thank you, El Sporco321. Just wanted to say thanks for your great videos. They are a huge help to someone like me to demystify networking. Glad you're firing back. Oh, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's continue here. So I've set up the scroll view now. Let's go down here and the content. Move this padding and go to the vertical scroll bar. Keep it 20, but let's go inside and remove. Like, look at these values. Unity gives you by default like some weird margins and stuff. Why the negative numbers? Okay, now let's remove this. And as you can see, it gives us the same result. Why does Unity by default have like negative numbers is beyond me. Now, let's see here. Go to our viewport. We're going to move it a little bit here. Oh, thank you, Elsporco. Now, as you can see, we're just going to move it to be at the edge here. And we're going to increase the size of our vertical scroll bar. Now, that's pretty much it for the scroll bars and the view. Let's go down here to the content and add a content size fitter. And we're going to set the vertical fit to be preferred size. And we're going to add a vertical layout group. And we're going to set to upper left, control child width, and maybe give the height and scale like this. Now I'm going to add a 10 unit spacing. And we're going to create a dummy message object. So here UI image, call it our message. Let's add some padding here. Looks nice. Now let's remove the right padding because we, well, it looks okay, but this bar looks quite off. So we're going to change it to be more rectangular. Remove the sprite and remove the background as well. So now we have the handle is going to be, sorry, the background is going to be a little bit transparent, so like this. And the background of the chat is going to be a rectangle as well. So everything is very simplistic. Yep. Now, let's see. Go back to our message here. Now we're going to increase the size by maybe 200, make it 200 like this. And we're going to add two text mesh objects. So one for the username. Let's real quickly import the essentials. So here is the username, and it's going to be at the top here. It's going to fill the width of the container. The text is going to be left aligned. So our our username is going to be black and center aligned. Just select the username. Maybe add a little bit of padding here and there, or just to the left. Yeah, we don't need right padding. Now let's go to and duplicate this and say message text or just text. We're going to fill this, make it like this. So the top is 50, the bottom is 10, left and right are 10 as well. Oh, just remove this notification really quickly. Oh, damn you, Windows. I told you to do not disturb me. I forgot to enable it, so that's no problem. Okay. And the text here, I'm going to say anything. So hello world repeatedly. Yeah. And I set it to auto size like this, and to start at the top left as well. So this is pretty okay so far. Now let's remove this, keep it empty for now, and grab our message and create a prefab out of it. So here's our message instance. And if we duplicate it multiple times, we can see that our scroll view does indeed work as expected. Yep. So we can safely remove the message prefab now. Good. Now let's get to the fun part. And the fun part is the scripting part, of course. So we're going to use RPCs and basically have a server RPC and an observer's RPC. The server RPC is going to append the username and the user message to a queue or a list on the server, and the server will simply instantiate a prefab on all the clients that are currently connected with these username and message values, okay? So it's a very simple system, and let's go ahead and implement it. First of all, I'm going to create a player script. Of course, I'm going to remove all the default code and seal my classes and make it derived from network behavior and remove the default namespaces. I'm going to save this, go back in Unity, and I'm going to first disable the chat and call it chat view, so like this. On my network manager game object, I'm going to go ahead and assign the player prefab. So I'm going to create a new object, call it player, add the player component. Everything is okay. Now let's drag it and create a prefab out of it. Let's remove the instance, go to the network manager, and we're going to drag and drop our player prefab here. I'm not going to have any spawns because this is just a simple chat example. Now I'm going to go ahead and create another view with two buttons. So for example, let's go here and say login view. I'm going to set it to fill the entire screen. And it's going to have two buttons, one for connecting and one for, sorry, a text field and a button, a text field for the username and a button for logging in, basically connecting. So let's see here, text field, input field, yeah. So username input field. And let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. Something like this, maybe, yeah. Increase the font size and remove, yeah, again, weird batting values. Thank you, Unity. Very helpful. Now I'm just going to center everything. Change the text color to be black. Make it auto size. Same for the placeholder. Make it black and more transparent, so something like this. And we're going to say username. Just username. Make sure it's centered. Make sure both are centered. So something like this. And let's increase the batting values. So add batting here. So 10, 10, 10, 10. So it looks a little bit more nice. And I'm going to create two buttons. So one for hosting a server and one for connecting as a client. So host button is going to be 300 by 100, just like this. 110. Shut up, Samsung, please. Now let's go to text and say host. Make it something like 48, yeah. Duplicate and say join button. Move it down like this. Make sure there is 10 units between them and say join here. Okay, now this is our basic UI. I'm going to go here and create a script called login view. So login view to open it in Writer. Okay, going to remove the default code here. So sealed. And we're not going to derive from network behavior, just going to have a normal behavior for this one. Now, we're going to do some trickery here when it comes to the usernames, because we're not going to dive deep into how to save and load data across the network and stuff like that. So I'm going to use a very simple system. I'm just going to use player prefs. You can use a static value as well, but variable as well, but yeah, player prefs are more preferable. Now let's go here. This wasn't a bun, by the way. I just say it's preferable because it's like easier to work with. So yeah, let's go here. Add a serialized field. Add our input field. And here we're going to say host button and join button. Now I'm going to go in the start method and begin adding my callbacks as needed. So our username field is going to repeatedly save and load our username whenever we change it. So I'm going to go here and say username input field, but on value changed, plus equal, just add listener, yeah. So username input field value changed event handler. See my long names? Love long names. Username. Going to do this. And since we are not going to be reusing this component in any way, so there's really no need to unsubscribe from it. Oh, let's see, we have a message from lsporco321. I have noticed you tend to default to seal classes for pretty much everything. Is your philosophy similar to private versus public variables? You'll leave them sealed unless you need them opened or for inheritance? Well, to explain this, basically, I seal classes because I know for sure that nothing else is going to derive from them. Like, if, for example, this login view, there is damn notifications. Okay, let's get back. So the login view here, there is nothing else that's going to inherit from it. like you're not going to have login view 1 or child login view, so there is no need to expose the functionality to inherit from it. Plus, all of our variables, as you can see here, or all of our state is private, so there is no way to access it in a child. Plus, there is a performance reason, that is, the compiled IL code will have two methods. Like there is a call method or instruction, and there's a call virtual instruction. The call instruction directly executes a piece of code, so it is like objectively faster. But call virtual, or call virt as it's called in IL code, is going to first look up in vtables the method implementation on which object. So it will have to, if we have, for example, login view 1 and login view 2, even though there's no classes deriving from it, it will still have to go around and figure out which one, which implementation to call. This has a very slight overhead, which is not noticeable in most cases, but it's a micro optimization, honestly. Um, if you need to leave your classes open, it's okay. If you don't need to, just seal them, okay? So basically, TLDR, it's micro optimization, okay? And there's also one more thing. You convey to the reader or to the other people reading your code that they're not supposed to inherit from these classes, okay? That's one important reason as well, because when I design a class that I intend for no one else to inherit from, or it just has private state that shouldn't be mutated by child classes, I always seal my class, just to convey, hey, you should not touch this class or derive from it, okay? So that's another very important reason. I hope this was a good explanation. So back to our code, we here subscribe to the onValueChanged event, and we have a event handler here. So I'm basically going to say player prefs, let's set string, username, just username like this, and take the new username. Pretty simple. So let's go down here and say add another event handler. So the host button, on click, add listener. So I'm going to say host button collect event handler, or click event handler. Oh, we have another message. So nice, I wasn't aware of performance aspect of that. I thought it was just in case for future proofing. Thanks for the thorough explanation. I will start doing the same. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, now let's go down here. And do the same for the join button. Just paste this and change the first letter. Private void. Now, in the host button, just typical fish networking code, we're just going to say instance. Goddamn notifications. Instance finder dot server manager. Let's start connection. And instance finder dot client manager dot start connection as well. So here we're going to start a server, and at the same time start a client, which is going to have both a server and a client connected. But the join button is going to simply say instance finder dot client manager dot start connection. So let's see here. This can be made static, of course. Yeah, let's make them static because yeah, they're not accessing instance states, so that's useful. This is also a thing I like to do. If your method doesn't access your instance data, just mark it as static, okay? It's very useful. Still a micro optimization and may not even have visible effects, but still it conveys the meaning and it is quite helpful for people reading your code. So we have our login view. Let's see now. We go back to Unity. Go to the login view. Drag and drop our script. Add the username input field, the host button, and the join button. Now I'm going to just remove this, get into play mode and test my code. Just say my username is Chad, and I'm going to host again. All right, things are working as expected. So let's go and exit now. let's go back to our player class now. So the player class is going to be like the player class itself is going to be automatically spawned by the network manager because we have a player spawner script here. If you have noticed, when we click on host, it does spawn the player. So I'm going to go in here and first just disable this game object. So say now we need to remove the static modifier. That's an oversight on my part. So game object dot set active to false in both cases and save this. Now when we click on either of these buttons, our view is going to be hidden. Now let's go to the player here and we're going to say we have a sync var called username. So this username is going to be the one we have entered in the login view, and we're going to grab it and assign it using an RPC. So we are going to override on start client, and we're going to check if we are the owners. We're going to say server set username, and we're going to say player prefs dot get string username, and that's it. I'm just going to give it a default value in case you forget to assign it. So I'm just going to say here player or just user random dot range and 0 and dot oh what and dot max value. And I'm going to go down here and add my RPC, so private void server set username string, and I'm going to go here, say new username, mark this as an RPC, and go here and say username equals the new username. So that's it for our username. Let's go in our editor and double check real quick. Wow, what is happening, Unity? Fix your editor, please. Now, let's go here and enter play mode. Interesting. Now I'm going to enter my username as Jack1, for example, and host the game. We're going to get a player spawned, and we're going to get our username here. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and begin adding the chat functionality. So I'm not going to be like doing the best when it comes to like managing the UI here. I have a very nice tutorial on creating a UI management system. I highly suppose you check that out. But now I'm just going to find the object by name and activate it upon entering the server, okay? So I'm going to go through the player here, and I'm going to go in writer, change this to negative, to not owner, and return. Here I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go ahead and say game object dot find chat view dot set active to true. Now this is a really bad idea, so I suggest you find by tag or just reference the object directly if you can, but don't use GameObject.find because it is slow. It has been optimized in the recent Unity versions, but it is still like very slow and allocates quite a bit. So now let's go here and again test our code. Let me grab a sip of coffee real quick. Okay. Now I'm going to say my name is anything, Jack again. Oh, oh yeah, I forgot. We need to include the inactive objects. Does that have an overload which takes include inactive? No. So we are just going to go ahead and find with tag. I remember there was a method that allows us to grab the things even if they are inactive. So yeah, that's quite annoying. Let's go ahead and just add a new chat view. So C# script chat view, because we're going to need it anyway. Remove this. seal the class. This isn't just going to be empty like this. We're going to add some behavior to it. So the first thing is private game object message prefab private transform message list transform. These are going to be important later. Now let's go to the player and say find any object of type chat view. We're going to say include an active, and we're going to say that game object, let's set active to true. Now let's go in Unity again. Okay. Select our chat view object, add the chat view component, assign the required fields, and we're going to go into play mode again. I'm going to say my name is anything. I'm just going to host, and it works. Now we have our chat view becoming live. That is very well. Now, I'm going to go here and now go to our player. Now we're going to begin adding the sending and receiving messages functionality. Basically, we're going to have a chat manager component, which is just going to be a simple network behavior having two methods, sending and receiving messages. So here, chat manager, I'm going to seal the class, say network behavior, remove the default code and the unused namespace. We might use them, so I'm just going to keep it for now. Let's go here and have a public static chat manager, or just we're going to find it by methods. So we're going to need a reference to first our chat view, and we're going to have two methods. Both are going to be server RPCs. One is going to be a server RPC, the other is going to be an observer's RPC. So we're going to have a public void send server send message. I'm going to say string sender username and string the message text. We're going to mark this as a server RPC. And keep in mind, I'm going to say here require ownership to be false. Why is this? Because we would like to have any client, even the ones not owning this message, to be able to send messages. But this is not always a good idea for security reasons, of course. So what I'm going to do instead is move this method here to our player class. And I'm going to remove the require ownership and just keep it required. I'm going to make this private or public because we're going to need to call it from the UI. And I'm going to have here a public void observers receive. Message. What is wrong with me today? Okay. String sender username. Observers RPC. Now, what we're going to do is, in the player here, we're going to take these parameters sent by the player to the server, and we're going to find the instance of the chat manager, and we're going to call observers send message. In turn, this method here will access the chat view, instantiate the message on all the currently connected clients, and update the list of messages by adding the latest message to it, okay? So let's go here and say find any object of type chat manager dot observers receive message, and I'm going to say sender username and message text. So let's go to our chat manager now. and we are going to go here and say chat view dot add message. This method doesn't exist yet, and it's going to take the same parameters here. So let's go to our chat view now. Here we're going to add a public void add message, string sender username, string message text. Now, in order to simplify things, I'm going to go ahead inside of Unity, and I'm going to wait until it compiles. Right click, create a new message class, and I'm going to seal it. Add a couple of fields to it, so public text mesh pro UGUI. I'm going to say username text, and a public text mesh pro GUI message text. Now I'm just going to remove everything else. This is just a convenience class that allows us to, let's see our message here from El Sparko. Not sure if these features fall within the scope of your video, but would you be able to call out where or how you might go about incorporating these features, when and where it makes sense? Associate timestamps with sent messages, bad word filters, chat manager, and floating chat bubbles, billboards within the context of players in a game space. Well, these features, I'm going to talk about them, but I cannot actually implement them because they would take a while. But I'm going to explain when and how, yeah, we can implement them later in the video. But let's just finish the system now. Thanks for reminding me, by the way. Let's go now here and resume our scripting. So our message class here is just a convenience class that allows us to access the properties of the texts of the message object without having to say get component a lot. So here we just go ahead and say changes to message. And I'm going to go ahead and say, oh, by the way, I just noticed about the timestamps thing, you can simply just send the date or the UTC time to alongside the message, and on the client to convert it to local time. So send the date, the username, and the message text. So it's pretty simple. And for bad word filters, you can use regular expressions, but these are not really that good at tackling bad words because people, can use special signs and stuff like this. There is an asset on the asset store. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I'm going to look it up later to show it to you guys. And regarding chat bubbles, yeah, this I'm going to talk about it later in the video. Let's continue. So here I'm going to say message instance equals instantiate message prefab inside my message list transform, and that's it. Say message instance dot username text dot set dot text equals sender username, and message instance dot message text dot text equals message text. Let's go ahead and remove these two namespaces, and let's go ahead and go to our chat view. Yeah, let's add a button here. So serialized field, private button, send message button. And also we're going to need a serialized field, private text mesh pro and the field, message text field. So in the start method, I'm going to say if send message button dot, oh wait, send message button dot on click. Oh, Stephen429 says, damn, now I can't inherit from chat view. Yeah, you cannot, and you should not. If you inherit from chat view, I'm going to Let's just say we'll have to seal your doors, okay? Okay, now let's go here and say add listener, send message button, click event handler. It's going to copy this, go down here, add the method. And for now, yeah, for now, let's go inside of Unity. And let's go ahead and enter play mode, I think, just to test the stuff we just did. Have we missed any assignments? Yeah, I forgot to assign the button. Let's go here. Let's go ahead and add a button, sorry, a text field first. So message text input field, and it's going to be at the bottom of this whole thing. I'm going to set the anchor, sorry, the pivot to be 0 and the position on the axis to be 0, so it's always stuck at the bottom like this. Going to increase the height to 100. Change the weird Unity defaults. Change this to be left aligned in the middle. Say message, increase the size. It looks ugly, I know, but it's just for demonstration. Yeah, it's very small, so let's make it 30, 10, 10, and yeah. Maybe 30 from the right as well, so it just looks consistent. Let's go here and add a button and say send message button. Same thing, bottom aligned, left, right, 0, 0, anchor, sorry, pivot y 0, and position here is 0 as well. Going to increase the height to 100, move our message above, and going to move our viewport up here, maybe with a 10-point spacing, or just, yeah, we have spacing already inside the layout, so no need. And I'm going to go here, reduce the height to be just about this one. And that's pretty much it for the UI. Let me double check. We have the message input field, send message button, and the message prefab. Yeah, we need to do the message prefab. Go back here, chat view, assign the message prefab here. It was already assigned, so yeah, Unity isn't that bad after all. Maybe, yeah. So let's see. We have our messages, we have our fields. Let's go in Writer here now, and inside our message button here, send message button, we're going to again do find. Oh, yeah. We need to find the local instance of our player. So in order to do this, there are many ways, but I suggest just going inside your player here, adding a public static player local instance. So get private set. Inside the onStart client method here, I'm going to assign the local instance to this, just to simplify things, you know. Button text. Oh yeah, thank you. I completely missed that one. Let's go here. I haven't streamed in a while, that's why I may be a little rusty and, you know, hectic and distracted. But yeah, I'm going to get better in the coming weeks. Let's go here. And we are done with the player now, I think. So let's go to our, where is it, chat view? Yeah. And I'm going to say player dot local instance dot server send message. Now I bet that we're going to get an ownership warning here, but let's see. We're going to send by the username. So player local instance username, and the message input field, text field, text. This should really just use the player username, so let's just do that real quick. So I'm just going to remove that and say use my username. So yes, this will give us a warning. I am pretty sure. Oh, not this one. This one. This line here is going to give us a warning. But let's see. Save all. Go into Unity. Close our chat view. And let's enable our login view. And let's go into play mode. Okay. Now I'm going to say my username is Jack. Going to host. Okay, we are in. Let's type a message and say, for example, I love mashed potatoes. I'm going to send the message. Oh, and we get an error. I bet you I forgot to assign the message prefab or something. Oh, we forgot to add the chat manager. Yeah. Let's go here. Chat manager. Add the chat manager component. Add our chat view here. And let's go in play mode again. Let's use our username as Jack, host, and type a message. I love cold drinks, and send a message. Oh, and we get our message sent. Let's send something else, and it does indeed go through. See, and we have scrolling and everything is working okay. But as usual, we need to test on both the server and the client. So let's clear here. Let's Control B to do a quick build. Yeah, allow access. And we get our client here. Good. Now I'm going to enter play mode in the editor. Going to enable console logs from my player. Clear the console here. Going to set my username to Jack1 and host. And here my name is going to be Chad1. I'm going to join, and here we go. We have both the server and the client sending a message. But we have a problem because of my stupidity. I forgot to change the message field to stay in view when we change it. So I'm going to go down here and send a message from the server to the client. So hey Chad1 and send it. And we get it on the client as well. But since this is hidden, we cannot send. So I'm just going to fix this real quick. Let's see. What happens when we change the aspect ratio of our view? Weird. Seems this isn't a message problem. Let's see here. It is placed correctly, and this is placed correctly as well. So what is your problem, my friend? Interesting. Maybe there was... Oh, we have a message from Elspork Co 321. You commented on another video you aren't a fan of barrel sync. Is that still the case? And is there is a reason why? It does seem pretty convenient so far. Well, I really don't like this whole links and like clone project stuff and stuff like this. It just adds a layer of unnecessary complexity, in my opinion. I just, do builds and my PC is fairly quick, well, I suggest you use it if your PC is like slow and it takes a while to build and run your project. Um, but if you have a decent PC, you saw here when I just control B, it takes about 3 seconds or like 5 seconds to build. And it's not really that bad. Plus, it gives you a more like clear idea of how things will actually be in a player. So you're not just going around and testing in a two editor project, because let me tell you, and if this is from experience, that sometimes things work in the editor, okay, but break badly in the client or in the player. So that's why I don't use barrel sync. Plus, of course, the other like reasons, of course, like cyclic SRA links, which might break sometimes and cause corruption. I have had experiences like this before. You might not have, but I had. Um, you also have some weird issues sometimes with prefab management in fish networking. Sometimes things might, go a little wonky, missing prefabs, not regenerating IDs for network objects, stuff like this. So if you have a relatively big project and you have a slow computer, well, yeah, of course, you use barrel sync because you cannot just keep building and building. It will take hours, I assume. But for me, even in my real job, I have a fairly big project I'm working on. I usually just control B and test a real player build, okay? So keep that in mind. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, well, it is a good point in my opinion as well. So let's go here and do another build to see if this still gets hidden. Oh, you know what? Oh, yeah. I forgot about this. Need to disable this one. And I'm going to test inside of the client. So I'm going to make the client the server and the editor the client. Oh, I said everything incorrectly in the last 2 seconds. Okay. I'm going to say Jack and host. Yeah, so it doesn't really have to do with the client. It does have to do with this field here. It gets disabled for some reason, which is weird. So let's see. I'm just going to move it to a different position, I think. Just maybe move it to here. Hmm. It's stuck to the button and it is laid out correctly. So what's wrong, Unity? Hmm. What happens if I move it to here? Yeah, I'm going to do a quick test build. And I intentionally left it enabled to test and see if it will... Yeah, why does it get hidden? What? This is really weird. Hmm. So we might have to resolve to or fall back to IMGUI. So let's go to canvas here. This is so weird. These are the things that make me hate you, Unity. Why do you get disabled? Why? Like, this is really annoying. Hmm. So I'm just going to remove these. Yeah. Go to the chat view. Going to remove this. Yeah. Going to go to our player. And here, just going to use on GUI. Say if not as owner, just return. And I'm going to say string message text equals GUI layout dot text field, and we need a private field here to store the message. So private string message text. Okay, I'm going to say if GUI layout button send, to say send message. So yeah, server send message with our message text. Now let's go inside of Unity again. And I am going to just remove the two buttons, yeah, and just fix this, turn it back to normal. And I'm going to disable this view, enable this view, save, and oh yeah, let me see something just to confirm that we have no references to remove. Yep, Control B. I'm going to set my username here to Jean and Jack. Oh, I haven't entered play mode yet. So Jean, Jack here, and click host. Going to enable player logging, and I'm going to go here and say join. So I'm going to send a message from Jean to Jack and say, hey, yeah. And as you can see, the message is sent with no warnings and no errors. Same goes for the server. So let's say, what's up? And send the message. And as you can see, it is sent correctly. So this was pretty much it for the message sending part. As you saw, it is pretty simple. And I have to admit, oh, wait a second, we have a suspicious message. Let's see. Interesting. We had a sudden message that was written in Russian or something like this, and I cannot hide or show it. So I hope I didn't get hacked. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue what we were saying. So this was pretty much it for the message sending part. Okay. Um, I spent most of the time like setting up the UI and tackling Unity problems and stuff like this. But the idea is, it is just a couple of methods with a couple of buttons. I could have literally just made this in about 10 minutes using IMGUI and the server RPC you saw, but I had to go in detail, so that's why I created it using this rather, big way. So let's go ahead and answer a couple of questions, but let me just go back to um, El Borco 321 message here. Regarding the chat bubbles and billboards within the context of players in a game space, well, you see we have a method here inside our chat manager called observers, receive message. So this method here, you would go ahead and simply for each player, or like send it for all players, and for each player, just pop out a bubble that says the message and the username. You can use any method, like for example, use dotween with a fade animation, but you would do it here. Why? Because this method is called on all connected clients, which are the observers, okay? And here you would do like animations and stuff like this for messages on the connected clients. If that's what you mean. If it is, please like send a message. I hope you're still with us. Okay. So I don't think El Sporco 321 is with us anymore. So that was the answer for his message, the previous one. If you have any like thing to do with animations or instantiating objects and stuff like this, do it inside the observer's RPC. So it is synchronized for all connected clients. And you can use anything like dotween, you can use animations and stuff like this and play it temporarily, then resume. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But for anything that needs to do mutate like state and stuff like this on the server, for example, the messages, if you would like to store them, I would store them inside this, like change them or add them to the server side list inside this method here, because server RPCs are RPCs that are sent from the client to the server and are allowed to change things like sync types. Oh, we have a message from El Sporco. It says, so use observers to broadcast to all, but then you would have to use some combination of server RPC and target RPC for a whisper message. You can just use a target RPC, yeah, and a server RPC. So I would let me just give you an example here. So if you would like to send a message to a specific player, like a whisper, so let's go ahead and do this here. So um, let's see. Fish networking allows optional parameters, so that's very well. Another message, client server, server targets observer client. Yeah, something like this. But if you do not want to write multiple methods like that, you can simply just go here inside the server send message and say network connection, target connection, something like this. Okay. Or instead of doing that, you could specify the object you're trying to send to and use its connection. So here I'm just going to go ahead and make this null by default. Or I suggest you just pass null. So I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go here. And there is no target, so it's sent for everyone. Let's see here. And here I'm going to say private void target whisper network connection, and the string message text. Alongside, of course, the username. So target RPC. And we're going to basically here copy this and paste it here. So just going to need to find it. So find any object of type. If it's enabled, yeah, by this time it should be enabled. So chat view dot add message and just do it like this. Here we're going to say if target connection equals null, do this, else do that. Target whisper and give it a target connection with the username and the sender, so and the message text. As you can see here, if you just supply a connection, if you supply a connection, I hate Windows notifications. I really do hate them. Okay. So if you supply a connection here, it will send it to the target connection. Otherwise, it will send it to everyone. We have another message, so let's check it out. Trying to think about how you would want to send the message directly from client to client, but would want them to go through the server and chat manager for filtering bad words, muted players, etc. Yeah, as you can see here, you can use a server RPC like this, and inside of it validate all the data you would like to, and then send it using the target RPC. That's pretty much it. It is easy, you know, because in contrary to popular belief, players, after sending data to the server, they cannot control it. They just control what has been sent. So if a player, of course, sent a profanity, he will catch it on the server inside the server RPC here and filter it before transmitting the whisper or sending it to everyone. Okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it for the chat system. I'm going to stay up for 10 or 5 more minutes to answer any extra questions, if you have any. So yeah, if anyone has any questions. And yeah, by the way, I'm going to release a simplified version of this live stream soon. So yeah, I suggest you stay tuned for this because it's going to be much simpler. It's just going to be straight to the point. No in-depth explanations. Just do this, do that, get your chat system out. So before we go offline, does anyone have any questions? So I don't think that anyone does. So yeah, thanks to everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Stay tuned for the complete project to be sent. Oh, yeah, he just caught me at the last minute, okay? In another video, you mentioned network connection being super critical. Is that acting as a reference to the other connection at all times? Example, if I'm server, network connection equals client. If I'm client, network connection equals server. No, the network connection is basically, take it as a, not like a permanent reference, but it's just a reference to that specific client. If your server has a client connected to it, then there is an instance of this, like his owner. Okay, as you can see, there is a property here called owner. This owner here is the client or the connection that owns this object. Okay, so this is what you would send around if you would like to communicate with this specific object. So you send its owner across the network if you would like to, for example, target this specific connection for an RPC or something like that. Other than that, it's not like really critical, but it could like lead to some problems if you just send it around with no protection. Some other client may somehow, if you allow it to, if you expose your methods in a way that allows clients to, for example, grab each other's connections and send messages using these connections, yeah, it might pose a problem. And reading your message again, is that acting as a reference to the other connection at all times? Yes, it is. It's like an ID. Your connection, like a client to server connection, is unique. Like there is no two connections that refer to like the same object, okay? Or like the same link. I hope this like answers your question. Anything else? Like I really hope YouTube adds like a notification or an indicator that someone is typing something, so you don't have to keep staring at the screen like a maniac until someone sends something. Hmm. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. But yeah, we get another message. Let's go ahead and answer it. Thinking to try and understand it by thinking of it like an on-collision enter, where the other piece is the collider. I don't quite understand this. I was trying to understand if it by thinking of it like an on-collision intervene, where the other piece is the collider of the other object. No, the network connection type is just that, a network connection. It wraps a network connection. It can be anything. It can be your own owner, like your connection. It can be your another client's connection. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean like just your own connection or like a single connection. No, it can be any connection. So we can send it around or just, send message to it, retrieve its ID, stuff like this. But yeah, thank you for your stream, very informative. Yeah, thank you for coming and thank you for watching. I'm going to have another stream very soon, and I might just have a chill Q&A stream. So thank you all for tuning in and thank you for watching till the end. Stay tuned for the small video that's coming out soon regarding this chat system. And yeah, one more thing, because I promised to do it. There is a game kit repository by First Gear Games, the creator of Fish Networking. It has a chat system, it has an inventory system, it has lots of useful things that I suggest you should check it out. And since it's made by the creator of Fish Networking, it follows like the best practices, although his code style isn't really bad. Joking. Okay. Yeah, so if you want, give it a shot. It's free and you can add it to your project and check it out. So thank you all for watching. I hope to see you soon and goodbye.